Hello and welcome to all the Web3 enthusiasts. This is Max speaking, and today I'm excited to host a new wonderful podcast discussing a huge industry of domains and the thing where Web3 really meets Web2. And our guest is a real expert in this field, so please welcome Fred Xu, CEO and co-founder of D3. So hello, Fred, how are you today?
Good. Thanks for having me. I'm doing good.
Cool. So I see you in a good mood, and this is the key to a wonderful, insightful podcast. So hopefully we'll do so. And to begin with, just to warm up, and since it's your first time at Synopsis, could you please briefly introduce yourself and tell us about your path to Web3? So we heard you've been in the domain space for over 25 years, and now you're here. So please go ahead.
Sure. So again, my name is Fred Xu. My role is CEO and co-founder of D3. I have about 2 decades of in the tech industry. I previously co-founded and was CTO of a very large domain company called Oversea, starting 25 years ago. Did that for about 10 years. I subsequently built and scaled several zero to hundreds of million in revenue companies in Web 2 and also Web 3 from 2010 to present day. I started D3 roughly about 2 years ago. D3 is doing exciting things in the domain industry. So I'd love to share more about what we're talking about.
Awesome. So you are doing the big things here. So, and yeah, so to get deeper, let's start with like pretty easy thing, but basic. So could you tell us what Web3 domains actually are and what they can offer? So how deep are the potential use cases for this, and how does what you are talking about differ from other technology that seems aimed at user-centric domain offerings in the crypto space?
Okay, so the question is what are Web3 names and what can they offer?
Yeah, mainly.
Um, So there's two distinctions. I just want to clarify it. I think there's one Web3 names or Web3 wallet addresses. These are things like .x, .crypto, .eth. They don't actually exist as domain names in the traditional sense. Then on the second hand, you have domains like Amazon.com or even like our website doma.xyz, right? Those you can type in your browser. They work in email. You can also map them to your wallet addresses. So the word Web3 domains is actually nuanced, and it's actually it's a little bit of an oxymoron, so to speak. My job first and foremost is to educate people about the differences between the two. So again, on one hand, when it comes to Web3, you essentially have a NFT or say a wallet address. And in Web 2, you have a domain name. Now, the potential about using this stuff, like I said, a Web3 name, you could use it. You could set it in your wallet. You could transfer it from people to people. For the most part, it's permissionless, right? And you can set your wallet address to it and use it within integrated apps that actually read and resolve that Web3 name. On the Web 2 domain side, you can do all the above. You can set up your email address, you can set up your website, you can set up DNS to support a wallet address through something called the DNS TXT record. A domain name has the potential to reach 5 billion plus users around the world. A Web3 name has the potential to reach people within Web3. And the scale is like not even an order of magnitude, right? Or 10 to 1. It's almost like it's like it's like 500 to 1 in terms of scale, a real domain versus a Web3 name. So hopefully that helps explain kind of the differences from an education perspective, as well as how these things are actually used and in what use cases.
Awesome. Thanks for the explanation and for the clear examples here. And speaking about the scale, so could you tell us how big are Web3 domains compared to the whole domain market? So is it a drop in the ocean, or it's something more or less visible?
Yeah, on the Web3 names or Web3 wallet address market, the last I checked, there was just under 3 million ENS names, which is like, .eth, like Synopsis.eth. I even have one myself, right? So just around 2.9 million. I think the total, I think I was looking at some sort of open analytics out there. There's just under 10 million overall Web3 names or Web3 wallet addresses out there. If you can compare that scale to domain names, there's just about 368 million real domains like .com, .net, .xyz, .ai, and actually quickly growing, especially with the next ICANN GTLD round coming up next year. So just to give you kind of a sense of scale, it's almost like 50 to 100x to 1, 50 to 100 to 1 real domains versus Web3 names.
Got it. Thank you for the numbers. So absolutely clear. And please tell us how you achieve the Web2/Web3 integration for domains at D3. What does this work look like, and how do you work with organizations like ICANN to drive this change?
Yeah, again, a little bit about education. So
of course.
DNS, or the domain name system, has been around for almost 30, 35 years, right? Every single time you kind of look up a website address, mapping like a name to an IP address, or anytime you're sending an email from one person to another, you're leveraging the DNS, right? So to answer your question to how do you achieve Web2 to Web3 integration for domains at D3, we're just utilizing the DNS, the domain name system. It's a system that is secure, it's fast, it's already decentralized. Every ISP, every phone, every computer already uses DNS today. So we don't have to worry about installing or people putting in specialized SDKs or APIs, which basically create single party or centralized risk, right? I think a lot of the Web3 folks have not really thought about this that way. But when it comes to sort of true integration, having one identity, like .ape, having one identity like Fred.ape, if you look 1 or 2 years from now, being your single Web2 and Web3 identity. So you get an all-in-one solution that's secure, fast, reliable, and relatively cheap compared to having a bunch of fragmented name systems out there, which currently the Web3 only systems seem to represent.
Cool.
So I think I cannot speak on behalf of ICANN. ICANN has its own sort of charter, its own rules. But what I can say is ICANN's been really good about publishing, significant guidebooks, both as a registrar operator, both as a registry operator, with respect to what they call contracted parties. Everybody has to abide by these rules that ICANN, the whole domain name system, has set out for now like years, if not decades so far. So we really respect ICANN in terms of what they're doing. We just try to make sure everything we're doing is very, very compatible with their rule set and their tech.
Awesome. So we're really having kind of deeply educational podcast here today. So thanks for that. So actually, to be honest, I never dug deeper into this field, and it's very insightful. So, and could you also add some more information on how does D3 improve domain-related operations with DomainFi?
Yeah, so if you own a domain name, let's just say you bought it at GoDaddy or maybe like Namecheap or something, usually you can, you search for your name, you register it, you put in your shopping cart, you set up other services like maybe email, maybe hosting, maybe like AI chatbots, maybe e-commerce store, what have you, right? It's been infrastructure that's been around for a while, but also there's a speculative market. One of our One of our investors actually bought and sold chat.com, which is now in the hands of OpenAI. People just understand that these single letter short.coms, for example, have a lot of value. The problem is it's not very easy to buy, sell, trade these domain names. Usually there's a bunch of fragmented networks of sellers, brokers, aftermarkets, all over the place. Imagine if you were trying to buy a house or a stock on the stock market and there was no trading facility, there was no tech, there was no like ability to put in a bid efficiently or to ask or put in an ask efficiently, right? So DomainFi, so D3 is basically building out this whole sector called DomainFi, which is essentially domain DeFi for domains. So you can much more easily buy, sell, settle, even escrow like on a domain name as your personal identity and your own, frankly, like sense of real estate, which is what domain names are. So we were trying to improve the tech. There is no efficient tech now within the domain industry to buy, sell, trade these things. That's why we're working on launching DOMA, the blockchain protocol. We think that it can help people make a lot more money by improving this very opaque market into something that's much more transparent and efficient. And we also we want people to be building on this asset class more actively, right? Not just about buying a domain and setting up like hosting, right? But about actually creating buckets, baskets, portfolios, borrowing, lending, fractionalization around this asset class. And all that is now possible with blockchain. We're very, very excited about introducing this concept to market. And we're pushing hard this year and through next year as well.
Well, super detailed answer, and everything you say sounds really cool. And could you please add more details on what would be the procedure to register a mail server on a Web3 domain with D3?
So I cannot answer on how to set up mail on a Web3 name or Web3 wallet address because actually I have no idea. But I will tell you, and I understand there's various like decentralized messaging applications out there, wallet to wallet communication, decentralized email hosting. I personally don't understand it that much. I think it's an interesting concept. I definitely believe in things like encryption and being able to send you and you have to send me a secure message. But like we have that with WhatsApp. We have that with traditional email, right? You could set up certificates to ensure encryption. There's various security vendors and software out there to mitigate things like spam and malware, and it's been around for decades. That's more on the traditional web 2. I'll even call it web 1. Web 1 and web 2 domain name side, right? You buy a domain name, you set your DNS to utilize Google or some email host, and the rest just works. Once you set your DNS, mail hosting companies know exactly what to do with you. Same thing with website hosting companies, know exactly what to do with you. But the central theme here is leveraging DNS and what they call DNS MX records for mail relay, A and C name records for website addresses, and even the future, we call them DNS TXT records to map things like wallet. It's the best. The DNS system is like the best, like I'll speak in kind of Web3 terms, the best sort of public key delivery system known to mankind, because it's already secure, it's massively scalable, like I said, it's already decentralized, and it already reaches 5 billion users. So you don't need to build like new distribution rails.
That's great. And could you please provide us some image of your customers? So kind of my favorite questions when it comes about audience, community. So could you tell us who are your biggest customers in Web3 and Web2, and what are the most popular services they choose?
Yeah, so we work with Web3 ecosystems to do two things. Number one, we work with them to launch and to scale their top level domain, for example, like .ape or .shib, or even like .sol coming up, which represents the Solana community. And the second thing, because domain names fundamentally represent identity, um, and also obviously, a ton of decentralized finance activity, we leverage those ecosystems or those chains too to promote DomainFi. So for example, imagine everybody trading. I think last I checked, Solana has about $20 billion a day worth of transaction volume. Those users love to buy, sell, speculate on assets, whether they're stablecoin, whether they're maybe airdrop, maybe they're other use cases within that ecosystem. Now they can start trading on digital real estate or domains with DomainFi. So dot something domain names are basically real world assets, just sort of waiting for crypto to kind of really start utilizing at massive scale.
Okay, cool. So, and speaking about what you have just mentioned, so Web3 domains are both traditional digital assets and the same cryptocurrency token. Hopefully, I get it right. And in your opinion, how should they be regulated, even if they even should be?
Well, I'm not a regulator. I will say that, like I said,
Just
when
opinion.
it comes to the decentralized world, I'll call them Web3 names. I guess anything goes, right? If I buy a monkey JPEG, which I have, or if I buy an ENS name, like a .eth name, technically I could basically buy it, sell it, trade it, wallet to wallet, peer to peer it, do anything with it, right? I think that's the whole appeal to the Web3 decentralized like ethos. The downside is I can't do much with it. I can't set it. I can't use it in my browser. I can't, send email to it. I don't have as much awareness now to kind of send funds back and forth to people using my ENS name. But this whole, because it's so out there, because there are no rules, it's just simply decentralized or according to some smart contract rules. Those smart contracts technically are not subject to any type of regulation. If you look on the Web2 side, on the real domain side, like I said, you have ICANN. You have already a decentralized multinational nonprofit setting the rule book and making sure that stakeholders and end users and security consultants, governments, Fortune 500 companies, global 5,000 companies throughout the world are already adopting a certain framework. So I call it, it's not necessarily a regulator because it's not a government agency or any of that, but it's more like the UN than anything, with a certain set of guide rules that everybody should adhere to. And again, it's only has to do with the dot system. So anything that uses dot, like Amazon.com, they regulate. If there's some other system out there that doesn't use the dot system, that uses maybe ampersands or pound signs or semicolons, that's out of their purview. That's out of the DNS system. They don't have any opinions or oversight over. But if it has a dot in it and it's using a traditional domain name, then people do look to ICANN. So it comes back to, all orgs are not perfect, but this is as close to, I think, good than just being completely decentralized, Wild West.
Wow, awesome. So we're getting closer to the end of our today's podcast. And one of the final things I'd like to know from you. So besides tokenization, what are the other trends in the domain industry right now?
So I'm hearing a lot, and I'm pretty excited about real world assets. The idea that you can tokenize treasuries or even like gold um, and other financial instruments and bring them on chain. So that's pretty exciting to me. Infrastructure, kind of at scale, infrastructure that can be used for the next generation of DomainFi, obviously, is interesting to me. AI in AI agent-based use cases and stablecoins, for example, AI agents are going to be big, and of course, stablecoins are going to be the best way, in my opinion, to send value back and forth, utilizing like some of the core tenets of the blockchain world, right? So you don't really need to have a Western Union, you don't need to have a Wise or TransferWise account or unnecessary bank fees in between me simply sending you money and you sending me the value for pennies, right? Rather than like $30 or more per transaction. So that's pretty interesting to me.
Great. Kind of expected half of this, and another part was, I would say, insightful. So yeah, we came up to the final traditional part of our podcast, and it's time for some guest advices. So could you please address to a specific part or to our audience in general anything you would like people to hear, some maybe call to action or maybe some trends to follow right now, something to try, whatever you find useful, please go ahead.
Yeah, probably end by saying domain names. Look into them. They're basically like the OG NFT. They're the original land of the internet, and so for the first time, they're being able to be tokenized.
OG NFTs like this. Yeah, thank you, Fred, for joining us today, for being our guide in this huge industry of domains. I believe it was very interesting and for everyone. I see it took almost half an hour, but it feels like it's been 5 minutes. So I think many people will be inspired to learn more about this, and hopefully we'll see you, Fred, soon in other episodes, diving deeper into this industry, see how Web2 and Web3 are really getting closer. So yeah, thank you once again for joining.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks, of course, for our audience, for our viewers, for watching us till the end. Guys, stay tuned, take care, educate yourself, as this podcast was pretty educational. So yeah, take care. Bye-bye. See you in more episodes.